from the Eagle Elementary School. Also in May, we had a pollinator garden event with the Friends of North Prairie Gardens to clean up and plant EHS gardens. In June, we presented a salute to the women in the military. In July, we had an ice cream social and band concert. September, 4 EH members attended a conference at Black Point Estate, sponsored by the Walworth County Historical Society. This was for all area historical societies and libraries, basically to exchange ideas, get information. In September also, Eagle Historical Society held an open house and reception for the dedication of our new Vernet Hare meeting room. Music was provided by the Kettle Moraine Blues. September again, we also participated with the police, picnic with the police. In October, we had a Halloween party with the Eagle Business Association. As you see that we had a very active year this year, or last year I should say. Eagle Historical Society is a vital asset to the village and town of Eagle. And before we start a program, I'd like to introduce Gina Neese. She designed the staycation pamphlet and the PowerPoint presentation that you'll be enjoying today. She's sitting right over here. Thank you, Gina. Now we can get on with the program. Thank you.
And now let's begin our program. Tonight we will highlight a few of the 25 featured locations in our Staycation Challenge. Starting things off is Janet Evans, who will introduce us to Brady's Rocks.
Thank you, Scott. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here. I'm going to talk tonight a little bit about Brady's Rocks, which you see right here. This is a wonderful old picture, by the way. Has anyone here been out to Brady's Rocks? No. Okay, so this is interesting. You're going to get a little backstory on this. So, yep, there they are in all their splendor. You can see how they have some sheer faces and then they slope down on the other side. That's typical of an escarpment. And Brady's Rocks is part of the Niagara Escarpment. And what it is, there we go. It's a 650-mile long, let's say, ribbon of rock, and it starts or finishes at Niagara Falls, for which it's named. And if you've either been to Niagara Falls or seen pictures of it, you know how it's that beautiful white rock and then the water flows over it, and it's like a couple 100 feet tall, made of dolomite or dolostone, which is very much like limestone, but it's a lot harder. And dolomite is a very interesting rock. It's a sedimentary rock, and you can find fossils in it because it used to be, it was all packed down riverbed and lake bed. So this is a very interesting piece of rock. And from Niagara Falls, it goes around the southern part of Lake Ontario, up through Canada, kind of leaps across Lake Huron up there, and then up and down through the upper peninsula of Michigan, and then it picks up again at the northern tip of Door County, comes down, and where that red line stops, that's Dodge County. And so we have parts of this escarpment that are only several feet high, like Brady's Rocks, and then we go all the way to 200-foot cliffs like at Door County. And if you've ever been to High Cliff Park, beautiful, beautiful white cliffs. That's all part of the Niagara Escarpment and part of Brady's Rocks. So it's called, escarpment is also called a cuesta, which is a geological term for a ledge of rock that is sloped on one side and a sheer face on the other, which you can see when I pointed out that picture of Brady's Rocks there. So let's see, in Wisconsin, from the tip of Door County then, down to Dodge County, that's about 230-mile stretch of an escarpment. I don't know if any of you have ever taken geology in college. I was one of the precious few that had to do that, and we had to go on bus trips to see the escarpment. So anyway, that was kind of interesting back then. It's probably Wisconsin's most prominent geologic feature. Very interesting piece of geologic history. And it's non-continuous. If you look at that line, it dips, it comes up really high, And then when you get down to Dodge County, it disappears. So it's buried under glacial till at that point. And then up here off of Highway 67, it pops up again as Brady's Rocks. It's originally part of the old Brady farm. Mr. Brady was an Irish immigrant. He came here and he thought he was going to quarry some of that rock. And that escarpment has a lot of quarries around it all the way to Canada. But it probably didn't work out for him because he ended up farming. Anyway, now it's open to the public. It's a spur of the Ice Age Trail. And so anybody can go visit it, as you know, if you've been there. It's 1 mile in off the trail, and so it makes a really nice loop hike for a Sunday afternoon or a day of hiking. If you're going to go there, wear sturdy footwear because there's tree roots and rocks sticking up out of the ground. So you kind of have to watch where you're walking, and I've heard on a really wet year it can be kind of soupy on the way there. I hear there's a bridge there now. So while you're there, look for rare life forms. There's rare plants and rare animals there. And there's very, very rare ferns there that have survived through the last ice age. There are ancient cedars there, and there's a very ancient snail life form from the Pleistocene age. And so you have to look very carefully while you're hiking through there to see if you can see any of those cool things. All in all, the total escarpment makes for a very nice habitat for a variety of things, including bats, birds. Dolomite is a type of stone that is susceptible to acidic rain. And so holes have formed over the centuries. Caves have formed in there, and a lot of bats take hibernation in there, and a lot of birds build their nests in there. So it makes for a nice daily hike, or if you want to go do that, fairly level ground. And along the way you'll see interesting rock formations and interesting plant and animal life forms. So, Brady's Rocks.
Thank you, Janet. One of the most recent trails to be developed in our community is the Eagle Nature Trail. Please welcome Jean Weedman to our program.
Thank you. Oh, good, a light. I need a light. Recent cataract surgery. So, the Eagle Nature Trail. Have you walked the trail behind the municipal building? Good. I'm glad. The trail connects the Eagle Elementary School with the library primarily, but with the municipal building. It's a very short, easy walk, so even if you have a little trouble negotiating, it's manageable, doable. It's meant for all ages, and there are different habitats to look at along the way. A prairie, a woodland, and an ephemeral pond. The pond is pretty low in water right now because we're, again, heading into a drought, it looks like. We have been self-supporting since the beginning. I guess I should use this. We have depended entirely on grants and donations to get our work done, and volunteers. I'll talk more about volunteers coming up. We maintain a connection with the library. That was part of our original mission, to be connecting the children so they didn't have to walk on the road to get to the library, either during the school day or after the school day when their parents would pick them up later at the library. We currently are a committee of volunteers, and we direct the activities that happen. There's a member from the school, there's a member from the library board, there's a member from the village board, and community members, and you're all welcome to join us. Next one. Early on, we discovered that this piece of land had a lot of really interesting plants. Though they were buried quite well beneath tons of buckthorn and garlic mustard, and some trash, I have to say. We hauled out old bicycles and old pipes and all manner of things. But again, once we saw particular plants, we knew that there was a hint here of prairie, woodland, because we saw hoary vervain, we saw coneflowers, we saw Solomon's seal for the woodlands, we saw violets for the woodlands. So we knew that there had been a richer habitat at some point in time. So with those three ecosystems, we were, again, happy to think about this as part of Eagle's past, part of the biology that was here, and maybe part of what drew visitors and settlers to the area to begin with. So our focus then began to create habitat for those critters. Again, if you have the right habitat, you'll have the right critters. We've done milkweed pod throws with the children, and again, you can see a fritillary butterfly on common milkweed, monarch butterfly on, again, common milkweed. A squirrel, you may not want him in your backyard, but in the trail, he's happy as can be. The tree swallow, again, a gorgeous shot of a tree swallow that hangs out there. We have a lot of birds that hang out there, which is nice, and we get migrating birds too. Environmentally friendly trail is what we were after. And so that all started in 2009 with a committee that was put together of just normal citizens saying, hey, we need a walkway for the kids. And then after we got the walkway in, and if you can see the walkway is in, when we got the walkway in and realized this could be a much more interesting place than just a walkway and some grass. And again, there's lots of grass around. So we looked at, again, going with the clues that we had of what plants were there. I started doing some investigating about getting a donation of prairie seed. And then we cleared the area on this side for the prairie. The rest is woodland. Again, a lot of it is still junk over there. The woodland walk consists of a lot of buckthorn still. But we work on that constantly. So we were discovering that this was not just going to be a pathway, a walkway. It was going to be a place for kids to learn about nature, for the community to learn a few things about the kind of habitat that various critters need. And this, as you can see from the pictures, was a time of a lot of machinery. Huge graders, stump grinders, again, plowing and moving things, trying to level things out a bit. And in 2010, we got a grant from the Home Depot Foundation for $7,000. I helped write that grant way back when. And again, not only did they give us money to supply the wood, but they sent their employees for a work day. And they built the boardwalk leading to the pond. They built the circled bench around the silver maple tree in the middle, and some of the benches, and of course the outdoor classroom were all part of the work that they accomplished in that day. It was quite amazing. And it was sleeting by the end of the day. It was November. Yeah. On to the next. Some of the activities, again, we engage with the elementary school children a couple times this season. This is very, very early on, before we were entering any of the garlic mustard competitions, and they were just thrilled to be helping, so yay. And of course, what's really fun is when the kids come back and say, I went home, I saw this around our tree, I pulled out the garlic mustard. Yes. And again, a more recent picture of them working on the garlic mustard. The good news is that after a number of years, and we've been at it now since 2012, we do see a lessening of that, so there is hope, though we'll continue, I'm sure, for a while. We did win the garlic mustard poll 2 years. in 2019 and 2021, and that's sponsored by the Southeast Wisconsin Invasive Species Consortium. There are usually 10 to 15 teams competing every year, and we came out on top with the help of the little guys. Not only them, but again, with their help. Let's see what else. Also, as far as activities, we sponsor the photo contest every year with the library. Allie is instrumental in getting that started. And again, you may note that there are some of the photos here in the building. Again, they're just extraordinary quality. They have to be taken at the trail, but some of the shots are just amazing. So please take time to look at those. And we've been on many, many public tours for various organizations. So the trail has gotten a bit of recognition along the way. One of the notable things is back in 2014, we were awarded the Virginia Klein Award for Excellence in Community Restoration. And it's an award in conjunction with the Aldo Leopold Foundation and with the Madison Arboretum. So we were thrilled to get that recognition. And you may be aware of another thing that happened last year. A book about the trail was written by a Northwestern University professor. So it's in the library. One copy? Two copies. So please, if you want to learn more about the project, take a look at that. On to the next one. Volunteers. We engage volunteers regularly. On the left-hand picture, you'll see a person that we've hired for years on the pile of buckthorn, working with some of our UWM volunteers. So again, we hire people when it's necessary, and again, volunteers help in many, many ways. The Palmyra Eagle high school kids came out one summer, actually for a number of summers. In this case, they were digging bull thistle. You can see they are, the soil here is quite good, and those are pretty healthy plants. We've had help of Boy Scouts, community residents, and of course the Eagle Elementary kids. UWM kids are here twice a year, fall semester and spring semester. And we are always looking for more volunteers. So if you're with a group and you'd like to help us on any given day, let me know. If you are a student that needs volunteer time, this is also a good place to take care of that. And last one. Our entrance signs, again, which were created by my husband with some of the money that we got from the Virginia Klein Award, again, are meant to provide information and give you background. So I change them out periodically, and the one that's coming up, the one that's out there now is about prairies and how how this area used to be prairie. The one that we're going to be putting up next is about the violets. We've been blessed with a covering of violets in the woodland and in part of the prairie area. And the violets are the only food for the fritillary butterfly's caterpillar. Again, as with many of our butterflies, they've co-evolved with one specific plant, like the monarch. If you don't have milkweed, you don't have monarchs. If you don't have violets, you don't have fritillary butterflies. So again, trying to give information. In May, we'll be putting out a sign for the migration, bird migration that has obviously started, but World Migratory Bird Day is May 7th, twice a year. There's a date in October and a date in May. And the project we'll be doing with the children this year for Earth Day is going to be dealing with bird migration. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Next, we have Julie Mann, who will tell us about the Eagle Spring Lake.
Jean, where did you sit? Jane, I think I saw the first turkey vultures today. Big. That's always a good sign. And this is also for Ellen. I have this book. I bought this book. It's great. From Eagle, there's numerous pages about the lake, but this goes for all of Eagle, up and down, all over, and all about this. Most of the pictures were taken by Jesse Steinke, and people who put this all together it's amazing. So if you can get hold of it, I checked the library today, and there is one copy in our library. Oh, you want me near that? Okay, is that better? Eagle Spring Lake, and then there's a question here whether it is spring or springs. Right now, it is spring, but there are lots of springs on the lake, so it's moving. The lake is 279 acres, and it's an impoundment. It is not a natural lake. It is a man-made lake, located obviously in Waukesha County. Its depth is 8 feet to 4 feet, and there are 2 dams holding the water back. Basically, it's a very shallow lake. Most people say you can walk, if you fall over, just stand up, you're going to be okay. The Milwaukee and Mukwonago River flowage is the main thing that supports the lake. If you go up to Lulu Lake, you go all the way up, that is the Mukwonago flowage, the Mukwonago River. It comes down, it's been dammed up to make Eagle Spring Lake, and then it goes out the dams down to Mukwonago. It has 9 islands. 5 of them have homes on them. There are about 260 residents along the shoreline. The other day, just for the fun of it, I went on one of the for sale websites to see if there was anything for sale on the lake, and I couldn't find a thing. Inexpensive or very expensive. Almost all the property, I believe, has been claimed, and it's hard to now purchase either land or to get onto the lake. Global warming, which has really affected our lake this year. It certainly affected people that are snow plowing and needing that kind of business, which this year they just haven't had. I have some pictures over there about the lake, and this was about 1912. They went out on the lake to cut ice for refrigeration, because we didn't have any natural refrigeration. They went on the lake with big ice cutting machines, horses, horse-drawn sleds, people, dogs, and can you imagine that being in one spot on the lake now? I mean, they wouldn't get out at all. We had very, very, very little activity on the lake this year. Usually there's snowmobiles and people riding ATVs and having parties and ice skating and hockey. Not a thing this year. Or if it was in where I live, we didn't see it at all. And usually there's just, it was shallow. The lake went out almost 4 to 6 weeks earlier than it normally has. Ice being out means no ice and we're just back to water, which is beautiful, as far, but still. And the other thing that I talked about the other day, if you have an opportunity when going out on the lake to use either a kayak or a canoe or a very small motorboat, go over into the springs, which are part I'm not sure what they're showing you, but that was down the Crowell's. That was the original Crowell's place down there, where there's where the water goes in and out. But if you can go down to, it isn't this area, but down to the golf course and go all the way down, all the way to the next shoreline, there are springs there, and they're really magnificent. I don't know how many of you have done it, but you go down, and they say you don't look at the top of the water. You look down, as far down as you can see. And it's, I'm going to say maybe 12 feet, maybe 10 feet down. When it's clear, it's very, very clear. And you see these bubbles. It looks like just sort of something to be on the moon. And all of a sudden they start moving and bubbling, and those are the real springs, in my estimation of it. And there are quite a few. It isn't, you wouldn't, it could be the size of this room, not all springs, but you sort of look around. And they're talking about this being the gems of the area. I think this is one of the biggest gems for people to go and take the time on that. Now, if you go back to that area, we've got a lot of migratory birds coming through. You can see the sandhill cranes. If you're lucky enough, you can sort of spot where they might have a nest. Geese are always here, good or bad. But for the global warming, and we're experiencing it right here. Sort of how many times did you have to shovel your walk this year? Not much, and we've all had lots and lots of stuff. You're probably all familiar with Clark's Park. You go down, the Eagleville School is there, and then the big park. A gentleman by the name of Senator Clark from Illinois bought that. Anybody have a guess as to what he paid for 34 acres in the late 1800s to the 1927? Anybody want to make a guess? 34 acres. No one wants to guess? $4,000. And he took that, here's 1924. He took the land and subdivided it into 100 lots. And if you go over in the Clark's Park area, there's small lots, but people love it there. And it was made a subdivision just for those people. You can't, it's not open to the public, you can drive through, but basically it is private for them. They don't share, they don't want other people coming in. There's no lake access there. And it's really quite nice to see the openness of space there. And some people who live over there, and they think it's great. The golf course, which is the Tooheys Golf Course, was basically started in 1893. And depending on how much of the golf course was open then. And again, you can sort of guess, for 18 holes of golf in the early 1800s, how much was it for 18 holes of golf? What do you think? 25 cents. So things have changed a little. But the golf course is a lovely part down there. As I said, you can boat, you can go all the way down to the very end of it. That's part of the beauty of it, and you people know who go. And then it was changed, due to the Depression, it was changed from 18 holes to 9 holes. So, and it's one of the oldest golf courses, I believe, in the state of Wisconsin. This was a picture that I had put in. Look at the children in those bathing suits, and the way the women dressed. And I saw many pictures of women in that kind of clothing. And I said the other day, here the children are dressed like that. That probably was wool bathing suits. Can you imagine your grandchildren dressing like that now to go in swimming at the lake? Not my granddaughters. Look at them and think, girls. Well, the lake is quite, I don't know if it's clear now. Back when they dammed up the lake, it was quite clear. And people came and got the water out of wells and things. Also, that house I refer to it as the Stessel's house. I think it's changed its name, and now it's white, and I believe people by the name of Atkinson own it, and that was sort of passed down in the family. And I can see that every day, that house, just where it's located. The damming of the lake is interesting. How they started this with the farmers who took the grain and any kind of grain down, they had to be ground. Well, that was ground at the mill. It was a very small mill. The farmers had to wait too long. It was very hard to then transport all that. And they got put in a larger mill, and it became, that's the Maquonigo River that flows under a dam down at the near the pub down there. And obviously it's a winter look of it, but it's still there. I mean, you can go down across that one little bridge and you can see it going down. Is there another picture here? Well, that's the mill. That's the big mill that they put in and made it more efficient for everybody. Looks like they need some shoreline restoration there with the boards. But now that has been pretty much torn down. The lake has put in a new turbine for the water to go out, so there wouldn't be a collapse. If the dam collapses, you know, it wouldn't happen to all the homes like that happened up at Delton Lake. So there's been a lot of work going on there to make the water flow the way it should and not have some kind of catastrophe. Are there any other pictures on mine on there? This is where the water goes through down to the Moquonigo River, and that's the only bridge. If you're back there, it's the only bridge that goes to this area. And again, that was, I believe, is part of the Wombles Park area. And now that's all homes, modest homes, but you've got to go in and out that only bridge. There's not a circle on that Wombles Park. This is the golf course, and they put they call it tubing, but it's really concrete, I think, to make sure that mud and grass and everything didn't go into that. That's part of the springs, and it's very clear, pristine water. And you can go down there today, and it's at one of the springs. They have a little awning over it, and they have a cup there, and you can dip it in and drink the water. They have to have it, maybe check it, but I think it's fine to do it. And I guess I'm done with it. You don't need to go to the I don't know anything about that.
Thanks for joining us, Julie. Please please welcome Ann Young, who will tell us about the South Kettle Moraine Forest Headquarters, Old World, Wisconsin, Eagle Historical Museum, and the Veterans Memorial.
Thank you. Hello. So Eagle is fortunate to have 3 very unique museums, and it'd be really cool to make it a goal to go visit all of those museums this summer. The information I have on Kettle Moraine State Forest was provided by Amanda Kutka. The museum, the Kettle Moraine State Forest Museum's Southern Unit headquarters, is a representation of landscape, flora, and fauna of the region. Some of the topics of the museum include glaciers, birds, and native plants. Be sure to make time to watch the 15-minute video about the area. A new feature that was built in 2024 is the free escape room style puzzle, completely housed free within the museum. They have a really cool gift shop that's known for its local collection of history books, as well as awesome t-shirts and sweatshirts. And the museum is open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. 2 different hiking trails can be accessed from the headquarters parking lot. The 1-mile Stony Ridge Nature Trail has interpretive signs along the way to explain what the glaciers have created. A connector trail to the Ice Age Trail can send you from one side of Wisconsin to the other. The trail stretches more than 1,000 miles along the extent of the last ice age in Wisconsin. There are 31 miles within the southern unit to explore, but just remember to turn around because the trail does not loop. Here's a picture of a view from a backpack shelter, number 2 on the Ice Age Trail within the Kettle Moraine State Forest Southern Unit. And the Stony Ridge Nature Trail provides a short walk along an esker and a view of a kettle pond. So our largest, anybody's been there, very close to where I live, but living in Eagle in the 1970s, it wasn't uncommon to witness a peculiar sight. Houses, sheds, or logs from a barn slowly making their way down en route to Old World, Wisconsin to their new home. Does anybody remember seeing that? So these structures came from various corners of the state embarking on their journey to their new home. Old World, Wisconsin is an expansive 576-acre outdoor ethnic museum, and it beckons you to immerse yourself in a bygone era. Functioning as a living history museum, its farms are not just relics, but they're active working farms. Interpreters bring the past to life by engaging in the daily tasks of the early settlers. In a historic moment in 1976, Eagle actually welcomed the Queen of Denmark, and she accompanied Governor Lucy to grace the opening of the new Danish area. The Crossroads Village is another area where you might see a blacksmith, a shoemaker, and a wagon maker diligently practicing their crafts. Step into the Thomas General Store, a place where material was sold and packages were carefully wrapped in brown paper and tied with string. Discover the serene beauty of St. Peter's Catholic Church, featuring a recessed aisle and a place for quiet reflection. Old World, Wisconsin is a dynamic space, always evolving and adding new experiences. The Brew House is a recent addition in 2022, inviting you to witness, smell, and taste the art of brewing and tap into the rich brewing history of Wisconsin. Old World, Wisconsin operates May through October, and be sure to check their website for specific hours and upcoming events. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a nature lover, or someone seeking a taste of the past, Old World, Wisconsin promises a captivating journey through time. Now I'd like to welcome my mom, Elaine, to talk about her favorite museum.
Yes, the last museum is my personal favorite, and I think you know why. I'm thrilled to share with you the rich history and fascinating exhibits at our local historical gem, the Eagle Historical Society. The museum welcomes visitors Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 9 to 12, or by appointment. As you step inside, you'll discover not just artifacts, but the very essence of Eagle's past. Our mission at EHS goes beyond collecting artifacts. We're here to preserve the essence of Eagle and its surroundings. Through photos and information, we connect you with the people who shaped our community, and by providing a valuable resource for genealogy research. As you walk through the museum, you'll notice that each exhibit offers a glimpse into the daily lives, work, and unique stories of our predecessors. Ever wonder what Eagle was like in 1880? Our farm exhibit vividly answers that question. Discover the crops grown, animals raised, and the very landscape of the time. Aerial photos from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s show a glimpse of our agricultural past. Did you know that the apartment building on Waukesha Road was once called Eagle State Graded School? Our school exhibit narrates the history of Eagle's educational journey, featuring a charming little classroom with books, teacher record books from Palestine School. But that's not all. Our museum boasts a diverse array of exhibits, from a nostalgic collection of toys, the Eagle Diamond Story, the Enchanting Paradise Springs, and a remarkable assortment of musical instruments. Each display highlights a unique facet of Eagle's history. As you explore, feel free to answer questions and share your own stories. The museum is not just a repository of artifacts, but a living testament to the vibrant community that is Eagle. Whether you're a local resident or a visitor, we invite you to connect with Eagle's past and find inspiration for the future. And now, back to Anne.
So before or after you visit the museum, follow the sign leading to the Eagle Veterans Memorial. Has anyone been to the Veterans Memorial? I bet everyone's going to raise their hand. As you step into the patio, take a moment to appreciate the pollinator gardens that Jeff mentioned. The gardens grace the surroundings. Thanks to a collaboration with the Friends of North Prairie Native Gardens, we've cultivated this beautiful garden space. The Eagle Veterans Memorial is a testament to the community collaboration, particularly through John Rosno's Eagle Scout project, generously supported by EHS and other local businesses. A stroll along the memorial walkway reveals engraved bricks, each telling a unique story. These bricks commemorate veterans, families, and serve as enduring memorials for loved ones. Many people have shared compelling stories about the individuals named on these bricks. You can access the video narratives from our book, Eagle Remembers. Simply follow the directions on the outdoor podium for an interactive experience during your visit to the memorial. The Eagle Veterans Memorial is divided into 3 different sections. The first segment pays tribute to the World War I veterans. The middle section honors World War II veterans. And the last section commemorates all of the branches of the military service. Nestled in the heart of the village, the memorial provides a serene and quiet space. When you visit, take a few moments to unwind, pay respect to all those who have served. The memorial is always open to visitors, offering a peaceful retreat for reflection. When you explore these grounds, you're not just witnessing history, but you're actively participating in preserving the legacy of our veterans. Hopefully, when you visit next, your next visit will take you on a meaningful journey through the Eagle Veterans Memorial. Thank you so much.
Thanks for highlighting these gems of Eagle, Ann, and Elaine. To conclude our program tonight, Sharon Bashaw and Jim Schaefer will join us to tell us about Paradise Springs.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
I'd like to introduce my lovely wife, Sharon Bashaw, a native of Eagle, and she was a Weimer, grew up here, went to the local Catholic grade school, and also some important other members of her family tree that are important to the Eagle Society and Eagle home front are the Judases and the Kramers and the Marquards, names you might be familiar with. And I'm Jim Schaefer, and I'm an outsider here. I was born in Juneau, Wisconsin, not Alaska. It's the county seat of Dodge County, not too far from here. And it's very close to the Horicon Marsh, which is a beautiful area, not too far from the Rock River. And also, Janet talked about the Niagara Escarpment. We have a beautiful county park there called Ledge Park, which is very close to Horicon. It's a beautiful place to visit as well. We're going to talk about gem number 22 on your list here. A wonderful place called Paradise Spring. Return, and those of you who haven't, get out there, okay? It's located very close to outside of town here, just a little bit west on 59 and north on Highway N. And we'll begin our journey with my lovely wife, Sharon.
Thanks again, everybody, for coming. Paradise Springs is the Paradise Springs nature area, and it was aptly named because of its pristine landscape, which felt and looked like a paradise, and its photogenic spring house that hints of yesteryear's grandeur. The spring house was operated between 1937 and 1948. As part of the Kettle Moraine Forest Southern Unit, Paradise Springs features an easy half-mile hiking trail, which is got blacktop on it, so it's really easy to maneuver around. A small waterfall, a natural spring, intriguing abandoned buildings, and interesting history in a serene setting that can spark an interest in historic places. It was once host to a number of things, from a horse track, trout pond, a stone wading pool for kids, and spring water that was bottled, to a 2-story resort hotel. It had tennis courts and shuffleboard for its guests to utilize. The original entrance was introduced by Louis Pettit, And he had the pillars on each side built with field stone and topped with stone eagles. And Jim's going to talk about the horse track now.
Before I continue, the reason that we're very interested in this place is primarily for three reasons. Number one, we personally enjoy the magnificent beauties of nature, and that's provided out there. Secondly, we like to hike. And thirdly, we're also interested in history, and there's a lot of historical things there that we're going to share with you here. Louis J. Pettit, a multimillionaire who was also known as the Morton Salt King, built the horse track in the 1920s. He made his fortune in the salt mine business. He was the wealthiest owner of Paradise Springs, becoming owner in 1927. So when you enter the area and start on the trail, to the right you'll be standing on what was once the road to the Springs horse track. And again, you can see the stone pillars on either side of the road, and you can see the horse there standing on the track. Pettit also introduced a shuffleboard and tennis courts, a spring house, and a wading pool. And with his death in 1932, the ownership to this property passed on to his grandson, who was a guy by the name of Augie Pabst. You might recall that name from PBR time. He became a beer executive owning the Pabst Brewing Company. There's a large 50-foot concrete slab that was once a tennis court and a shuffleboard court, but now is used as a picnic area, which you can enjoy. It was built by Pettit in the 1930s. Okay, Sharon?
Okay, the Paradise Springs Resort Hotel. This massive two-story resort hotel had thick exterior walls. And I looked up a lot of different articles on this, and it said that it was built of quarried limestone, also known as Wisconsin dolomite. So, I don't know when you were talking about the dolomite, so I'm not sure, but that's what it said. And it was quarried from the Land and Spring Quarry, which is now known as Menominee Park. The hotel resort had spacious deluxe bedrooms with private steam-heated tile baths. That must have been pretty fancy back then. It had a dining room, cocktail bar, and a roof garden with a sun deck. An old advertisement for the hotel described it as an ideal vacation and honeymoon resort. Garden Mertens finished the hotel in 1940. He acquired the property from Frank Fulton, and Fulton acquired the property from Pettit's grandson, Augie Pabst, who passed away in 1934. These changes in ownership occurred over only a 3-month period of time. The building was removed in the 1970s, and now you can see the site where it once stood.
In the 1880s, former owner J. August Linz built a pavilion over the spring. And under the pavilion, he installed a small railing around that spring with seating for the guests. Linz called it Minnehaha Springs. Today, the spring is covered with a wooden lid to prevent small animals from becoming trapped in its 4-foot hole. Another interesting thing to see in that area, which there's just barely remnants of, with just a rod sticking out, is a water-driven turbine. When Nichols acquired the property in the early 1900s, he built a water-driven turbine just east of the concrete dam. The turbine provided electricity for his house and its grounds, and that was the first electrified home site in this area. You can see the foundation of the turbine on the other side of Paradise Creek. Documents and historical memoirs identify L.D. Nichols as Paradise Springs owner after the 1880s. Nichols may have had a circus background, interestingly, because he used that newly purchased land and water to develop 2 businesses. One, raising monkeys, pheasants, and peacocks, and the other, raising brook trout. In the early 1900s, Mr. and Mrs. L.D. Nichols stocked the pond with trout. And the pond is no longer stocked with brook trout for fishing and visual enjoyment. They are the only trout species native to the Kettle Moraine area and still are found in cooled spring water areas and ponds and brooks throughout the area. In October, the trout in this pond spawn near the spring house on the gravel bottom. And when they spawn, the brook trout turns a very vibrant pink color. And if you see wooden cribs below the surface of the pond, they are hiding places for the young trout. Pettit also built a pond as a wading pool for his grandkids. It has stone around it, as you can see in the picture. It got its water supply through an underground pipe connected to the large trout pond. And now kids will go out there and observe this place. They often look for frogs and turtles in the pond, or in the pool. There's also a water-filled enclosure to the right of the wading pool that was used as a holding tank for the large trout. This tank kept the trout fresh until they were needed for the guests' supper at Paradise Spring Hotel.
And now we're seeing a picture of the original spring house. This is how it looked when it was first built with the dome roof. This elaborate building was built in the early 30s by Mr. Pettit. It had a wooden and copper dome roof and fieldstone walls. Spring houses were built and used to protect the water, and give people access to it. Since the 1800s, people have enjoyed the spring waters. Early owners called it Minnehaha and Eagle Rock Springs. The spring is 5 foot deep and has a temperature year-round of 47 degrees. Over 30,000 gallons of water flow from the spring each hour, which is 500 gallons each minute. In spring, water was pumped from the spring house to the bottling plant building, which is a short distance from the spring, and it was bottled up and distributed. These bottles were sold under the names of Lullaby Baby Drinking Water, Natural Spring Water, and Eagle Rock Spring Water. Spring water was bottled here until the 1960s when the plant closed. Economic, geographical, and political and social factors contributed to the demise of the resort and the bottling plant. The water bottling plant is now gone, but some steps and the foundation are all that remain. And if you walk off the path, you can walk up on those steps and you can see it. Now this is what the spring house looks like now. This is from the outside in, and the other picture is from the inside out. These two pictures of the spring house is how we see it today. Paradise fell more and more to the wayside as a geographical focus of post-Depression and post-World War II life moved from the countryside to the big cities. There is a beautiful walking trail mostly paved with all the trees, wildlife, and small falls. It's very thought-provoking seeing all that was done to make this special spot for people to vacation, fish, race horses, and enjoy away from the city life that many years ago. And as an added bonus, it produced spring water for everyone to enjoy where it was distributed in the area. Our ancestors thoroughly enjoyed it back in the early 1900s. Finally, buildings have crumbled and roofs have fallen in. Trees have grown, shading the cool waters, and wildflowers and grasses are growing now that we can enjoy as we reminisce about what went on this serene spot with our ancestors. So if you have a chance, visit this paradise spot and enjoy seeing the things that the people before us enjoyed. Paradise Springs truly is a gem for all to see in the Eagle area. The Paradise Springs is open from 6 to 11 every day, and Jim told you it was on Road N. And you need a state sticker or a day sticker to hike it. And like I said, the paths are all paved, so that's very, very nice. No pets are allowed on the trail. And there are brochures for you to look at that look like this.
Look at it, but take.
Take it, there's tons of them over there. And that will show you all the trails and the locations of all the things that we talked about today. And everything is numbered, so you're welcome to take those if you like. And I just want to tell you, thank you all for coming. We appreciate it, and we'll see you there on the trail.